the story of Purim, right? You've got the hero, Queen Esther, her uncle Mordecai, and of course the villain, Haman. Seems like a classic good versus evil story. But what if I told you that hiding just beneath the surface is a much, much stranger story? One that actually solves two massive puzzles that have been bugging people for literally centuries. Let's start with the first one.
So here's our first mystery. At the absolute peak of his power, Haman makes this claim that is, just completely insane. He goes around boasting that Queen Esther secretly wants him. Now, this isn't just being arrogant. In that world, even thinking about the queen that way is a death sentence. So you've got to ask yourself, why would he make up a fantasy that was practically guaranteed to get him killed?
And before we go any further, I want to be clear. This isn't some modern fan theory we just cooked up. The clues we're about to follow, they come from centuries of really deep dives into ancient Jewish texts, like the Talmud and the mystical Kabbalah. These are sources that are famous for looking for the hidden patterns, the stories behind the stories.
Okay, so get this. Haman is the only person invited to a private party with the king and Queen Esther, and right after, he goes home to his wife and his buddies and basically says, if I wanted to, Esther would be mine. He is totally 100% convinced that the queen is his for the taking.
But seriously, just think about it for a second. Where did he get that idea? What could he have possibly seen or heard to give him that kind of crazy confidence? A polite smile at a banquet? That's it? For a guy who's supposed to be a master politician, this just doesn't add up. It's a fantasy so dangerous, it's practically screaming for an explanation that goes beyond just a big ego.
And that leads us right into our second mystery, which happens at the exact moment of Haman's downfall. And if you thought his fantasy was strange, well, the way he dies is even more bizarre.
So we're at the final banquet, the climax of the whole story. Esther exposes Haman's evil plot, the king storms out of the room in a fury, and when he comes back in, he sees Haman falling onto the couch where Esther is sitting. To the king, it looks like Haman is attacking his wife. And that's it. He orders Haman to be executed on the spot.
But here's where things get really weird. The Talmud drops this absolute bombshell of a detail. The sages say Haman wasn't attacking Esther at all. He was just on the couch begging her to spare his life. And get this, as he tried to scramble to his feet, an angel came and physically pushed him back down, making him look guilty at the worst possible moment.
And that right there is our second huge puzzle. Look, Haman was a terrible person, no question about it. But how is that divine justice? An angel literally setting someone up for a crime they weren't actually committing. It just feels wrong, doesn't it? It seems to go against the whole idea of fairness.
All right, so to solve both of these mysteries, Haman's wild fantasy and this divine frame-up, we actually have to leave the story of Esther entirely and jump into a much, much older story from the Bible. We've got to go back to the story of a heroine named Yael and an enemy general named Sisra. Now, after a big battle, Sisra is on the run, and he hides out in Yael's tent. And to save her people, Yael kills him in his sleep with a tent peg. It's a brutal, heroic act. But the ancient texts have this fierce debate about what happened in that tent before he fell asleep. And that debate is the key to everything. And this is where the ancient sources just completely clash. On one hand, you have the Talmud, which argues that Yael actually seduced Sisra, 7 times in fact, to completely wear him out and make him vulnerable. But then you have the Midrash, which says, no way, she never touched him, that God himself is a witness that she remained pure. So, who's right? Did she or didn't she? Well, the answer to that is what connects it all.
So, you have this ancient debate, right? Think of it like a locked door. And the key that finally opens it, connecting their story directly to Esther and Haman, is a mystical concept, reincarnation. In Jewish mysticism, there's this really cool idea called gilgul. It's basically reincarnation, but with a purpose. The idea is that a soul can be sent back into the world, into a new body, to finish some kind of mission, or, and this is the important part, to fix a mistake from the past, to finally balance the cosmic scales.
And here it is. This is the mind-blowing reveal from the Kabbalists. They teach that Haman is the reincarnation, the gilgul, of that ancient general Sisra. And Queen Esther, she is the reincarnation of the heroine, Yael. It's like one mystical text puts it. The story of Purim isn't actually a new story at all. It's a cosmic replay. It says the same story that happened before is happening again. The very same souls are facing each other centuries later to finally finish what started in that tent.
Okay, so now that we have this incredible idea of reincarnation on the table, let's go back and see how it completely blows open our 2 original mysteries.
So first up, Haman's crazy fantasy about Esther, all of a sudden, it's not a delusion. It was a memory. A deep, subconscious memory from his soul's past life as Sisra. His soul remembered being with Yael's soul. So when he met Esther, he felt this powerful, undeniable connection. He wasn't just guessing she wanted him. His soul knew it as a fact from a past life.
And what about the divine frame-up? Well, with this new info, it wasn't a frame-up. Not at all. It was cosmic justice, pure and simple. You see, as Sisra, he was killed for being an enemy in war, but he was never punished for the crime of adultery against Yael. His soul had to come back as Haman, so it could be punished for that specific sin. The angel didn't frame him, it just made sure the universe could finally close the loop on a crime from centuries before.
So what this all means is that the story of Purim, when you see it through this mystical lens, is so much more than just a story of politics and palace intrigue. It becomes a story about cosmic justice, about souls traveling through time to balance the scales and make sure every action has its consequence.
And that leaves us with a pretty wild thought to chew on. If one of the most famous stories in history is really a cosmic sequel, a replay of events from a forgotten past, well, what other patterns might be playing out all around us? What ancient stories might we be reliving right now without even realizing it?